MEISTERSCHAFT in 3 acts, by Mark Twain. Scene of the play, the parlor of a small private dwelling in a village. Margaret, discovered crocheting, has a pamphlet. Margaret, soulless, dear, it's dreary enough to have to study this impossible German tongue, to be exiled from home and all human society except a body sister in order to do it, is just simply abschulich. Here's only 3 weeks of the 3 months gone, and it seems like 3 years. I don't believe I can live through it, and I'm sure Annie can't. Refers to her book and rattles through several times like one memorizing. Entschuldigen Sie mein Herr, können Sie mir vielleicht sagen, wie viel Uhr der Erstzug nach Dresden abgeht. Makes mistakes and corrects them. I just hate Meisterschaft. We may see people, we can have society. Yes, on condition that the conversation shall be in German, and in German only, every single word of it. Very kind, oh very. When neither Annie nor I can put 2 words together, except as they are put together for us in Meisterschaft or that idiotic Ollendorf. Refers to book and memorizes. Mein Bruder hat ihren Herrn Vater nicht gesehen, als gestern in dem Laden des Deutschen Kaufmanns war. Yes, we can have society provided we talk German. What would such a conversation be like? If you should stick to Meisterschaft, it would change the subject every 2 minutes. And if you stuck to Ollendorf, it would be all about your sister's mother's good stocking of thread, or your grandfather's aunt's good hammer of the carpenter, and who's got it, and there an end. You couldn't keep up your interest in such topics. Memorizing, when urgent maglich, macht ich nach heute Vormittag dort ankommen, de is mir sehr daran gelegen ist, einen meiner Geschäftsfreunde zu treffen. My mind is made up to one thing: I will be an exile in spirit and in truth. I will see no one during these 3 months. Father is very ingenious, oh very, thinks he is anyway. Thinks he has invented a way to force us to learn to speak German. He is a dear good soul and all that, but invention isn't his fash. He will see, with eloquent energy, why nothing in the world shall bit können Sie mir vielleicht sagen, ob Herr Schmidt mit diesem Zug angekommen ist. Oh dear George, 3 weeks. It seems a whole century since I saw him. I wonder if he suspects that I care for him. Just a wee bit, I believe he does. And I believe Will suspects that Annie cares for him a little that I do. And I know perfectly well that they care for us. They agree with all our opinions, no matter what they are, and if they have a prejudice they change it as soon as they see how foolish it is. Dear George, at first he just couldn't abide cats, but now he's just all for cats. He fairly welters in cats. I never saw such a reform. And it's just so with all his principles. He hasn't got one that he had before. If all men were like him, this world would. Memorizing, I'm Gegenthail mein Herr dieser Staff is sehr billig. Bit sehen Sie sich nur die Qualitaten. Yes, and what did they go to studying German for, if it wasn't an inspiration of the highest and purest sympathy? Any other explanation is nonsense. Why, they'd as soon have thought of studying American history. Turns her back, buries herself in her pamphlet, first memorizing aloud, until Annie enters, then to herself, rocking to and fro, and rapidly moving her lips without uttering a sound. Enter Annie, absorbed in her pamphlet, does not at first see Margaret. Annie, memorizing, lies mich gestern Frau rufen, unsagt mir dass einen sehr unangenehmen Brief von ihrem Lehrer erhalten hat, repeats twice aloud, then to herself, briskly moving her lips. Still not seeing her sister. Why jate is ihrem Herrn Schwiegervater, is fruit mich sehr dass ihre Frau Mutter wieder wohl ist, repeats, then mouths in silence. Annie repeats her sentence a couple of times aloud, then looks up, working her lips, and discovers Margaret. Oh, you here, running to her. Oh, lovey-dovey, I've got the greatest news. Guess, you'll never guess in 100,000 million years and more. Oh, tell me, dearie, don't keep me in agony. Well, I will. What do you think they're here? Mwhat, who, when, which? Speaker. Will and George. Annie Alexandra Victoria Stephenson, what do you mean? As sure as guns. Spasmodically unarming and kissing her. Don't use such language, oh darling, say it again. As sure as guns. I don't mean that, tell me again that. Springing up and waltzing about the room. They're here, in this very village, to learn German for 3 months. Sollt mich sehr freuen wenn Sie. Joining in the dance. Oh, it's just too lovely for anything. Unconsciously memorizing. Wer mir lieb wenn Sie morgen mit mir in die Kirche gehen könnten, aber ich kann selbst nicht gehen, weil ich sonntags tunlich krank bin. Jacke. A. Finishing some unconscious memorizing. Morgen Mittag bei mir speisen konnten. Jacke, sit down and I'll tell you all I've heard. They sit. They're here, and under that same odious law that fetters us, our tongues, I mean, the metaphor's faulty, but no matter. They can go out and see people, only on condition that they hear and speak German and German only. Isn't that too lovely? And they're coming to see us. Darling, kissing her, but are you sure? Sure as guns, Gatling guns. Don't child, it's schrecklich. Darling, you aren't mistaken. As sure as G batteries. They jump up and dance a moment, then. With distress, but Annie dear, we can't talk German and neither can they. Sorrowfully, I didn't think of that. How cruel it is, what can we do? After a reflective pause resolutely, Margaret, we've got to. Got to what? Speak German. Why, how, child? Contemplating her pamphlet with earnestness. I can tell you one thing, just give me the blessed privilege, just Hinsetzen will Jackson here in front of me, and I'll talk German to him as long as this Meisterschaft holds out to burn. Joyously, oh, what an elegant idea. You certainly have got a mind that's a mine of resources, if ever anybody had one. I'll skin this Meisterschaft to the last sentence in it. With a happy idea. Why, Annie, it's the greatest thing in the world. I've been all this time struggling and despairing over these few little Meisterschaft primers, but as sure as you live, I'll have the whole 15 by heart before this time day after tomorrow. See if I don't. And so will I, and I'll trowel in a layer of Allendorf mush between every couple of courses of Meisterschaft bricks. Jacke. Hark. Stossen. Jacke, wer werden gleich gut Deutsch Schülerinnen werden, Jack. He. Annie, when are they coming to see us? Tonight. No. No, why not, when are they coming? What are they waiting for? The idea, I never heard of such a thing, what do you? Breaking in. Wait, give a body a chance, they have their reasons. Reasons, what reasons? Well now, when you stop and think, they're royal good ones. They've got to talk German when they come, haven't they? Of course. Well, they don't know any German, but why befinden sei sich, and haben sei gut geschlafen, and weiter unser, and ich trink lieber Bier als Wasser, and a few little parlour things like that. But when it comes to talking, why, they don't know 150 German words, put them all together. I see. So they're going neither to eat, sleep, smoke, nor speak the truth till they've crammed home the whole 15 Meisterschafts auswendig. Noble hearts. They've given themselves till day after tomorrow, 7:30 p.m., and then they'll arrive here loaded. Oh, how lovely, how gorgeous, how beautiful. Some think this world is made of mud, I think it's made of rainbows. Memorizing. When urgent Marglich so macht ich nach Hut Vormittag dort ankommen, de is mir sehr darin gelegen ist, Annie, I can learn it just like nothing. So can I. Meisterschafts mere fun, I don't see how it ever could have seemed difficult. Come, we can be disturbed here. Let's give orders that we don't want anything to eat for 2 days, and are absent to friends, dead to strangers, and not at home even to nougat peddlers. Scan, and we'll lock ourselves into our rooms, and at the end of 2 days, whosoever may ask us a Meisterschaft question shall get a Meisterschaft answer, and hot from the bat. Both reciting in unison. Ich habe einen Hut für meinen Sohn, ein paar Handschuhe für meinen Bruder, und einen Kamm für mich selbst gekauft. Enter Mrs. Blumenthal, the Worthin, solus, auch die armen Mädchen, sie hassen die Deutsch Sprach, drum ist es ganz und gar unmöglich, dass sie lernen können. Es bricht mir ja mein Herz eiher Kummer über die Studien anzusehen. Warum haben sie den Entschluss gefasst, in ihren Zimmern ein paar Tage zu bleiben? Ja, du ist das verstate sich, sie sind entmutigt Armkinder. So knock at the door, herein. Enter Gretchen with card. Ist skan widerde, und sagt dass nur sie sehen will, hands the card. Och. Worthin got im Himmel der Vater der Mädchen, puts the card in her pocket. Wunsch die Tochter nicht zu treffen, ganz recht also du schweigst. G zu befehl. Wirthin, lass eichen hearing kommen. G ja, Frau Wirthin. Exit Gretchen. Wirthin, solus, jetzt muss ich ihm die Wahrheit offenbaren. Enter Mr. Stephenson. Stephenson, good morning, Mrs. Blumenthal. Keep your seat, please. I'm only here for a moment, merely to get your report, you know. Seating himself. Don't want to see the girls, poor things, they'd want to go home with me. I'm afraid I couldn't have the heart to say no. How's the German getting along? Wirthin, not very well. I was afraid you would ask me that. You see, they hate it, they don't take the least interest in it, and there isn't anything to incite them to an interest, you see. And so they can't talk at all. S1000 that's bad. I had an idea that they'd get lonesome and have to seek society, and then of course my plan would work, considering the cast-iron conditions of it. Wirthin, but it hasn't so far. I've thrown nice company in their way, I've done my very best in every way I could think of, but it's no use, they won't go out and they won't receive anybody. And a body can't blame them, they'd be tongue-tied, couldn't do anything with a German conversation. Now when I started to learn German, such poor German as I know, the case was very different. My intended was a German. I was to live among Germans the rest of my life, and so I had to learn. Why, bless my heart, I nearly lost the man the first time he asked me. I thought he was talking about the measles. They were very prevalent at the time. Told him I didn't want any in mine. But I found out the mistake and I was fixed for him next time. Oh yes, Mr. Stephenson, a sweetheart's a prime incentive. Aside, good soul, she doesn't suspect that my plan is a double scheme, includes a speaking knowledge of German which I am bound they shall have, and the keeping them away from those two young fellows, though if I had known that those boys were going off for a year's foreign travel, however, the girls would never learn that language at home. They're here and I won't relent, they've got to stick the 3 months out. Aloud. So they are making poor progress. Now tell me, will they learn it, after a sort of fashion, I mean in the 3 months? Wirthin, well now I'll tell you the only chance I see. Do what I will, they won't answer my German with anything but English. If that goes on, they'll stand stock still. Now I'm willing to do this. I'll straighten everything up, get matters in smooth running order, and day after tomorrow I'll go to bed sick, and stay sick 3 weeks. Good, you are an angel, I see your idea, the servant girl. Wirthin, that's it, that's my project. She doesn't know a word of English. And Gretchen's a real good soul and can talk the slates off a roof. Her tongue's just a fluttermill. I'll keep my room, just ailing a little, and they'll never see my face except when they pay their little duty visits to me, and then I'll say English disorders my mind. They'll be shut up with Gretchen's windmill and she'll just grind them to powder. Oh, they'll get a start in the language, sort of a one, sure as you live. You come back in 3 weeks. Bless you, my rhetorine, I'll be here to the day. Get ye to your sick room, you shall have treble pay. Looking at watch. Good, I can just catch my train. Leben sei wohl, exit. Wirthin, Leben sei wohl, mein Herr. Time, a couple of days later. The girls discovered with their work and primers. Annie was fehlt der Wirthin. Margaret, das weiß ich nicht. Sie ist skan vor 2 Tagen ins Bett gegangen. My, how fließend you speak. Denk skan, und sagt das sei nicht wohl sei. Good, oh no, I don't mean that. No, only lucky for us, glucklich, you know I mean because it'll be so much nicer to have them all to ourselves. Naturlich, ja, das sehe ich durchaus vor. Do you believe your Meisterschaft will stay with you, Annie? Well, I know it is with me, every last sentence of it. And a couple of hards of Ollendorf too, for emergencies. Maybe they'll refuse to deliver, right off, at first you know der Verlegenheit wegen, aber ich will sei später herrescholen, when I get my hand in und vergisst du das nicht. Say nicht grab liebst, what shall we talk about first when they come? Well, let me see, there's shopping and all that about the trains, you know, and going to church, and buying tickets to London and Berlin and all around, and all that subjunctive stuff about the battle in Afghanistan, and where the American was said to be born and so on, and there's so many things I don't think a body can choose beforehand, because you know the circumstances and the atmosphere always have so much to do in directing a conversation, especially a German conversation, which is only a kind of an insurrection anyway. I believe it's best to just depend on Prov, glancing at watch and gasping, 7:30. Oh dear, I'm all of a tremble. Let's get something ready, Annie. Both fall nervously to reciting, Entschuldigen Sie mein Herr, können Sie mir vielleicht sagen why ich nach dem Nordischen Bahnhof gehe? They repeat it several times, losing their grip and mixing it all up. Both hierin, oh dear, oh der Heilige. Enter Gretchen. Gretchen, ruffled and indignant. Entschuldigen Sie mein gnädigsten Fräulein, is sind zwei jung recent Herren drossen, die hierin wohlen, aber ich habe einen Geschworen das, handing the cards. Du lieb seid they're here, and of course down goes my back hair, stay and receive them dear while I, leaving. I alone, I won't, I'll go with you. To G lassen sei die Herren näher treten, und sagen sei einen das Werk gleich zurückkommen werden. Exit. Gr solus, was sei fruin sich darüber. Und ich sollt wirklich dies Bladsenigen dies grob rind wie hierin lassen, in den hulflosen Umstanden meiner nadigen jungen Damen, und sin, pause thinking, wohlen, ich word sei mal beschutzen, sollt man nicht glauben, dass sei einen Sparren so viel hatten, tapping her skull significantly. Was sei mir doch alls gesagt haben, der ein guten Morgen, why jate is ihrem Herrn Schwiegervater. Du lieb seid, why sollt ich einen Schwiegervater haben können, und der ander, is that mir sehr leid, dass ihr Herr Vater meinen Bruder nicht gesehen hat, als doch gestern in dem Leden des deutschen Kaufmanns war, Potsdamer Melstenerwitter. Oh, ich war ganz reisend, why ich aber rief. Mein Herren, ich kenn sei nicht, und sei kennen meinen Vater nicht wissen sei, denn ist Scanlange Deutschebrand, und jate nicht beim Tage in einen Leden heinin, wissen sei, und ich heb keinen Schwiegervater, Gott sei Dank word auch nei einen kriegen, word überhaupt wissen sei, ein solches Ding nei haben nei dulden nei ostehen, worum Grafen sei ein Mädchen and des nur unschuld kennt des eignen nei etwas zu leid gethen hat, dan haben sei sich beid die Finger in die Ohren gesteckt ungebetet. All Matchtiger Gott, erbarm dich answer. Pauses. None, ich word scan diesen Schurken einlass garnen, aber ich word ein Oj mit eignen haben, damit sei sich nicht wie reini Tufel jeberden salen. Exit, grumbling and shaking her head. Enter William and George. My land, what a girl, and what an incredible gift of gabble. Kind of patent climate-proof compensation balance, self-acting automatic MEISTERSCHAFT, touch her button and brrr, away she goes. Geo, never heard anything like it, tongue journaled on ball bearings. I wonder what she said, seemed to be swearing mainly. After mumbling MEISTERSCHAFT a while. Look here, George, this is awful, come to think, this project, we can't talk this frantic language. Geo, I know it will and it is awful, but I can't live without seeing Margaret. I've endured it as long as I can. I should die if I tried to hold out longer, and even German is preferable to death. Hesitatingly, well, I don't know, it's a matter of opinion. Geo, irritably, it isn't a matter of opinion either, German is preferable to death. Reflectively, well, I don't know, the problem is so sudden, but I think you may be right, some kinds of death. It is more than likely that a slow, lingering, well now they're in Canada in the early times a couple of centuries ago, the Indians would take a missionary and skin him, and get some hot ashes and boiling water and one thing and another, and by that missionary. Well yes, I can see that by and by talking German could be a pleasant change for him. Geo, why of course, does verstate sich, but you have to always think a thing out or you're not satisfied. But let's not go to bothering about thinking out this present business. We're here, we're in for it. You are as moribund to see Annie as I am to see Margaret. You know the terms, we've got to speak German. Now stop your mooning and get at your MEISTERSCHAFT, we've got nothing else in the world. Do you think that'll see us through? Geo, why it's got to. Suppose we wandered out of it and took a chance at the language on our own responsibility, where the nation would we be? Up a stump, that's where. Our only safety is in sticking like wax to the text. But what can we talk about? Geo, why anything that MEISTERSCHAFT talks about, it ain't our affair. I know, but MEISTERSCHAFT talks about everything. Geo, and yet don't talk about anything long enough for it to get embarrassing. MEISTERSCHAFT is just splendid for general conversation. Yes, that's so, but it's so blamed general. Won't it sound foolish? Geo, foolish, why of course, all German sounds foolish. Well, that is true, I didn't think of that. Geo, now don't fool around anymore. Load up, get ready. Fix up some sentences, you'll need them in 2 minutes now. They walk up and down, moving their lips in dumb show memorizing. W, look here, when we've said all that's in the book on a topic, and want to change the subject, how can we say so? How would a German say it? G, well, I don't know, but you know when they mean change cars, they say umsteigen. Don't you reckon that will answer? W, tip-top, it's short and goes right to the point, and it's got a business wang to it that's almost American. Umsteigen, change subject, why it's the very thing. G, all right then, you umsteigen, for I hear them coming. Enter the girls. A to W with solemnity. Guten Morgen, mein Herr, is fruit mich sehr, sei zu sehen. W, Guten Morgen, mein Fräulein, is fruit mich sehr, sei zu sehen. Margaret and George repeat the same sentences. Then, after an embarrassing silence, Margaret refers to her book and says, Bit mein Herren setzen sie sich. The gentlemen, dank skan. The four seat themselves in couples, the width of the stage apart, and the two conversations begin. The talk is not flowing, at any rate at first, there are painful silences all along. Each couple worry out a remark and a reply. There is a pause of silent thinking, and then the other couple deliver themselves. W haben sie meinen Vater in dem Leben meines Bruders nicht gesehen. Nein, mein Herr, ich habe euren Herrn Vater in dem Leben eures Herrn Bruders nicht gesehen. G, wären sie gestern abend im Concert, oder im Theater? Nein, ich war gestern abend nicht im Concert, noch im Theater, ich war gestern abend zu Hause. General breakdown, long pause. W, ich stor dark nicht etwa. A, sie storen mich durchaus nicht. Geo, bit lassen sie sich nicht von mir storen. Aber ich bit sie storen mich durchaus nicht. W, to both girls, when were sie storen so gehen were gleich wieder? A, o nein, geus nein. I am Gegenthal, is fruit unsayer sei zu sehen, alle beid. W, skan. Geo, Gott sei Dank. Aside, it's just lovely. A, aside, it's like a poem. W, umsteigen. Welches. W, umsteigen. Geo, off English, change cars, oder subject. Both girls, why skan. W, were haben uns die Freiheit genommen, bei eigenen Vorsprechen. A, sie sind sehr gütig. G, were wollten uns erkundigen, why sie sich befanden. Ich bin ihnen sehr verbunden, mein Schwester auch. W, mein Frau lasst sich ihnen bestens empfehlen. A, ihre Frau. W, examining his book. Vielleicht habe ich mich gerät, shows the place. Nein, gerät so sagt as Butch. A, satisfied, ganz recht aber. W, bit empfehlen sei mich eurem Herrn Bruder. A, das ist viel besser. Aside, wenigstens is wär viel besser wenn ich einen Bruder hat. Geo, why ist is einen Gegengen, seit mich das Vergnügen hat, sei anderswo zu sehen. Dank bestens, ich befind mich gewöhnlich ziemlich wohl. Gretchen slips in with a gun and listens. Geo, still to Margaret, befind it sich ihre Frau Gemahlin wohl. Gr, raising hands and eyes. Frau Gemahlin, heiliger Gott, is like to betray herself with her smothered laughter and glides out. Dank sehr, mein Frau ist ganz wohl. W, dürfen were vielleicht, umsteigen. The others gut. Geo, aside, I feel better now, I'm beginning to catch on. Aloud. Ich möchte gern morgen für einige Einkaufmädchen und word eignen sehr verbunden sein, wenn sie mir den gefallen täten, mir die Namen der besten hiesigen Firmen aufzuschreiben. Aside, how sweet. W, aside, hang it, I was going to say that, that's one of the noblest things in the book. A, ich möchte sie gern begleiten, aber es ist mir wirklich heute Morgen ganz unmöglich auszugehen. Aside, it's getting as easy as 9 times 7 is 46. Sagen sei dem Briefträger, wenn's gefällig ist, Macht eichnen den eingeschriebenen Brief geben lassen. Ich word eichnen sehr verbunden sein, wenn sei dies Schachtel für mich nach der Post tragen würden, de mir sehr darin liegt einen meiner Geschäftsfreund in dem Leben des deutschen Kaufmanns Hut ben treffen zu können. Aside, all down but nine, set up on the other alley. Aber Herr Jackson, sei haben die Satzi gemischt, ist unbegreiflich wie sei des haben thun können, zwischen ihrem ersten Teil und ihrem letzten Teil haben sei ganz 50 Seiten übergeschlagen, jetzt bin ich ganz verloren, why kann man reden, wenn man seinen Platz durchaus nicht wieder finden kann? Bit versahen sei, ich heb das wirklich nicht beabsichtigt. Mollified, sehr wohl lassen sei gut sein, aber thun sei nicht wieder, sei müssen ja doch einrahmen, das solch dinge unerträglich Verwirrung mit sich führen. Gretchen slips in again with her gun. Unzweifelhaft haben sei recht mein holdselige Landsmanin, umsteigen. As George gets fairly into the following, Gretchen draws a bead on him, and lets drive at the close, but the gun snaps. Geo, glauben sei, dass ich ein hübsches Wohnzimmer für mich selbst und ein kleines Schlafzimmer für meinen Sohn in diesem Hotel für 15 Mark die Watch bekommen kann, oder würden sei mir raten, in einer Privatwohnung Loges zu nehmen? Aside, that's a daisy. Gr, aside, shade, she draws her charge and reloads. Glauben sei nicht sei würden besser, than bei diesem Wetter zu Haus zu bleiben. Freilich glaub ich, Herr Franklin, sei würden sich erkelten, wenn sei bei diesem unbeständigen Wetter own Uberich ausgehen. Gr, relieved aside, so man redet von ausgehen, das klingt skan besser, sitz. To a y thua haben sei das gekauft, indicating a part of her dress. Das hattig sein mark gekestet. Das ist sehr thua. Geo, ja, obgleich dieser Stoff Wunderskin ist des Muster sehr geschmackvoll, doch des vorsiglichst, das in dieser Art gibt, so ist doch furchtbar thua für einen solchen Artikel. Aside, how sweet is this communion of soul with soul. I am Gegenthal mein Herr, das ist sehr billig, sehen sei sich nur die Qualitaten. They all examine it. Geo, möglicherweise ist des allernust das man in diesem Stoff hat, aber das Muster gefällt mir nicht. Umsteigen. Welchen Hund haben sei den hübschen Hund des Kaufmanns, oder den hässlichen Hund der Urgroßmutter des Lehrlings, des bogenbeinigen Zimmermanns. Aside, oh come, she's ringing in a cold deck on us, that's Allendorf. Geo, ich heb nicht den Hund des aside. Stuck, that's no Meisterschaft, they don't play fair. Aloud, ich heb nicht den Hund des in unserem Butchlader gibt keinen Hund, daher ob ich auch gern von solchen Thieren sprechen macht, ist mir doch unmöglich, weil ich nicht vorbereitet bin. Entschuldigen sei mein Damen. Gr, aside, beim Teufel sei Sinde le bladsinnig Juden, in meinem Leben heb ich nie ein so narrisches, verfluchts, verdamps gespräch gehört. Bit umsteigen. Run the following rapidly through. Aside, oh I've flushed an easy batch. Aloud, würden sei mir erlauben mein Reisetasch higher hinzustellen. Gr, aside, wo ist sen Reisetasch? Ich sehe keine. Bit sehr. Geo, ist mein Reisetasch eichnen im Weg. Gr, aside, und wo ist sen Reisetasch? Erlauben sei mir, sei von meiner Reisetasch zu befreien. Gr, aside, du Essel. Ganz und gar nicht, to Geo, ist sehr schwall in diesem Coop. Gr, aside, Coop. Geo, sei haben recht, erlauben sei mir gefälligst des Fenster zu öffnen, ein wenig Luft wird uns gut thun. Were fahren sehr rasch. Haben sei den Namen jener Station gehört. Lange halten wir auf dieser Station an. Geo, ich reise nach Dresden Schaffner. Wo muss ich umsteigen? Sei steigen nicht sei bleiben sitzen. Gr, aside, sei sind ja elegant und gar verrucht, Man denk sich sei glauben das sei auf der Eisenbahn reisen. Geo, aside to William, now brace up, pull all your confidence together, my boy, and we'll try that lovely goodbye business a flutter. I think it's about the gaudiest thing in the book, if you boom it right along and don't get left on a base. It'll impress the girls. Aloud, lassen sei uns gehen, is ist's ganzer spat, und ich muss morgen ganz früh aufstehen. Gr, aside grateful, Gott sei Dank das sei endlich gehen, sets her gun aside. W to Geo. Ich denk eichnen hoflitzt für die sei mir erweisen, aber ich kann nicht länger bleiben. Geo, to W entschuldigen sei mich gütigst, aber ich kann wirklich nicht länger bleiben. Gretchen looks on stupefied. W to Geo. Ich heb skan ein Einladung angenommen, ich kann wirklich nicht länger bleiben. Gretchen fingers her gun again. Geo to W, ich muss gehen. W to Geo. Why sei wollen skan wieder gehen, sei sind ja eben erst gekommen. M aside, it's just music. A's aside, oh how lovely they do it. Geo to W, also denken sei dark nach nicht an es gehen. W to Geo. Is that mir unendlich leid, aber ich muss nach Haus, mein Frau word sich wundern was os mir Jürden ist. Geo to W, mein Frau hat kein Ahnung wo ich bin, ich muss wirklich jetzt fort. W to Geo. Dan will ich sei nicht länger aufhalten, ich bedauere sehr dass sei uns einen so kurzen Besuch gemacht haben. Geo to W, adieu, aufrecht boldiges wiedersehen. W umstagen. Great hand clapping from the girls. M aside, oh how perfect, how elegant. A aside, perfectly enchanting. Joyous chorus. All, ich heb gehabt, du hast gehabt, hat gehabt, wir haben gehabt, I habt gehabt, sei haben gehabt. Gretchen faints and tumbles from her chair and the gun goes off with a crash. Each girl, frightened, seizes the protecting hand of her sweetheart. Gretchen scrambles up. Tableau. W takes out some money, beckons Gretchen to him. George adds money to the pile. Hubsches Madchen, giving her some of the coins, hast du etwas gesehen. Gr, courtesy aside, der Engel, aloud impressively, ich heb nichts gesehen. W, more money, hast du etwas gehört. Gr, ich heb nichts gehört. W's more money, und morgen. Gr, morgen where is nothing, bin ich taub und blind. W unvergleichbares Madchen, und giving the rest of the money, Darnek. Gr, deep courtesy aside, Erzengel, aloud, Darnek may nadigster betrachten sei mich also taub, blind tart. All in chorus, with reverent joy, ich heb gehabt, du hast gehabt, hat gehabt, wir haben gehabt, I habt gehabt, sei haben gehabt. Enter Gretchen and puts her shawl on a chair. Brushing around with the traditional feather duster of the drama, smartly dressed for she is prosperous. Gr, why hat man sich das vorstellen können, in nerdre watchen bin ich skan reich Jürden, gets out of her pocket handful after handful of silver, which she piles on the table, and proceeds to repile and count, occasionally ringing or biting a piece to try its quality. Oh das, with a sigh, die Frau Worthin nur uig krank bliebe, dies edlen jungen Männer, sei sind ja so liebenswürdig. Und so flessig, und so true. Jeden Morgen kommen sei Gerard drei Viertel auf noon, und plaudern und schwatzen, und plappern, und schnattern, die jungen Damen auch, Schlägswolf nehmen sei Abscheid, Schlägeins kommen sei skan wieder, und plaudern und schwatzen, und plappern, und schnattern, Gerard Setzuer nehmen sei wiederum Abscheid, halbicht kehren sei nachemals Zurück, und plaudern und schwatzen, und plappern, und schnattern bis 10 Uhr, oder, vielleicht ein Viertel nach, voll sei her Uhren nach gehen, und stets gehen sei nach am Ende des Besuchs, aber stets vor Beginn des selben, und zuwillen unterhalten sich die jungen Lut beim Spazieren gehen, und jeden Sonntag gehen sei dreimal in die Kirche, und immer plaudern sei, und schwatzen und plappern und schnattern bis einen die Sonnen aus dem Mund fallen. Und ich, durch Mängel in Übung, ist mir die Sonne mit Mus belegt worden. Freilich ist's mir ein Dummheit gewesen. Aber, Gottes Willen was jate des mir en. Was soll ich daraus machen? Taglich sagt die Frau Worthin Gretchen, dumb show of paying a piece of money into her hand, Du bist ein der besten Sprachlehrerin in der Welt. Ach Gott, untaglich sagen die edlen jungen Männer, Gretchen liebs kind, money paying again in dumshow 3 coins, bleib tob blind tart. So bleib ich. Jetst word is ungefähr nun sein, bald kommen sie vom Spaziergehen zurück. Also is wer gut das ich meinem eigenen Schatz einen Besuch Stadt spazieren gehe. Dans her shawl. Worthin, that was Mr. Stephenson's train that just came in. Evidently the girls are out walking with Gretchen, can't find them and she doesn't seem to be around. A ring at the door. That's him, I'll go see. Well, how does sickness seem to agree with you? Worthin, so well that I've never been out of my room since, till I heard your train come in. Thou miracle of fidelity, now I argue from that the new plan is working. Worthin, working. Mr. Stephenson, you never saw anything like it in the whole course of your life. It's absolutely wonderful the way it works. Succeeds, no you don't mean it. Worthin, indeed I do mean it. I tell you Mr. Stephenson, that plan was just an inspiration, that's what it was. You could teach a cat German by it. Dear me, this is noble news, tell me about it. Worthin, well it's all Gretchen, every bit of it. I told you she was a jewel. And then the sagacity of that child, why I never dreamed it was in her. She, never you ask the young ladies a question, never let on, just keep mum, leave the whole thing to me, she. Good, and she justified, did she? Worthin, well sir, the amount of German gabble that child crammed into those 2 girls inside the next 48 hours, well I was satisfied, so I've never asked a question, never wanted to ask any. I've just lain curled up there happy. The little dears, they flitted in to see me a moment, every morning and noon and supper time, and as sure as I'm sitting here inside of 6 days they were clattering German to me like a house of fire. Splendid. Worthin, of course it ain't grammatical, the inventor of the language can't talk grammatical, if the dative didn't fetch him the accusative would, but it's German all the same and don't you forget it. Go on, this is delicious news. Worthin, Gretchen, she says to me at the start, never you mind about company for 'em, she, I'm company enough. And I says, all right, fix it your own way, child, and that she was right is shown by the fact that to this day they don't care a straw for any company but hers. Dear me, why it's admirable. Worthin, well I should think so, they just dote on that hussy, can't seem to get enough of her. Gretchen tells me so herself, and the care she takes of them. She tells me that every time there's a moonlight night she coaxes them out for a walk, and if a body can believe her, she actually bullies them off to church 3 times every Sunday. Why the little dev missionary, really she's a genius. Worthin, she's a bud I tell you, dear me how she's brought those girls' health up. Cheeks, just roses, gait, they walk on watch springs and happy, by the bliss in their eyes you'd think they're in paradise. Ah, that Gretchen, just you imagine our trying to achieve these marvels. You're right every time. Those girls, why all they'd have wanted to know was what we wanted done, and then they wouldn't have done it, the mischievous young rascals. Worthin, don't tell me, bless you I found that out early when I was bossing. Well I'm immensely pleased, now fetch them down, I'm not afraid now, they won't want to go home. Worthin, home, I don't believe you could drag them away from Gretchen with 9 span of horses, but if you want to see them put on your hat and come along, they're out somewhere trapsing along with Gretchen. Going. I'm with you, lead on. Worthin, we'll go out the side door, it's toward the Anlage. Her head lies upon his shoulder, his arm is about her waist, they are steeped in sentiment. Turning a fond face up at him, du Angel. G liebste Kiss. Das Liedchen das du mir mit hast, ist so skan, so wunderskan, why hat ich gegehnt dass du ein Poet wärest. Mein Schatzchen, ist mir lieb wenn dir die Kleinigkeit gefällt. Ist mit der zartlichsten Musik gefüllt, klingt ja so selig, why das Flüstern des Sommerwinds dir Bänderung hindurch, wieder, thewest, sag wieder. Dumshow sentimentalisms, Georgie. Kindchen. Warm kommen sei nicht. Das weiß ich gar nicht, sei wern. Word spat, wir müssen sei antreben. Komm. Ich glaub sei werden recht bald ankommen, aber. Enter Gretchen R in a state of mind, slumps into a chair limp with despair. Ark was word jetsto's mere worden. Zufällig heb ich in der Fern den verdammten Papa Jessehen, und die Frau Worthin auch, dies Erscheinung, die hat mir beinahe des Leben genommen. Sei suchen die jungen Damen, des weiß ich, wenn sei dies an die jungen Herren süßemen fanden, du heiliger Gott, wenn des Jeskiet wären were elegans und gar verloren, ich muss sei gleich finden, und ihr ein Warnung geben. Ich lieb dich skan so sehr, deiner edlen Nater wedgen, dass du da so auch ein Dichter bist, ach mein Leben ist übermäßig reich Juden, wer hat sich doch einbilden können, dass ich einen Mann zu einem so wunderschönen Gedicht hat begeistern können. Liebst, is ist nur ein Kleinigkeit. Nein, is ist ein echtes Wunder. Sage is noch einmal, ich flehe dich an. Ach is ist himmlisch, einfach himmlisch, kiss, schreibt doch George Gedicht. Jas willen. Why scorned. Aside, smouches same as I do. It was a noble good idea to play that little thing on her. George wouldn't ever think of that, somehow he never had any invention. Arranging chairs, jetzt will ich bei dir sitzen bleiben undo. They sit, ja und ich. Du wirst mir die alt Jeskicht Diemer nu bleibt, nach wieder erzählen. Zum Beispiel, das ich dich lieb. Wieder. Ich sei kommen. Das macht nichts, forten. George unties M's bonnet. She reties his cravat, interspersings of love pats etc., and dumb show of love quarrellings. Ich lieb dich. Auch noch einmal. Ich heb dich von Herzen lieb. Auch abermals. Bist du denn noch nicht satt? Nein, the other couple sit down, and Margaret begins a retying of the cravat. Enter the Worthin and Stephenson, he imposing silence with a sign. Mich hundert sayer ich ver hunger. Du arms kind, lays her head on his shoulder, dumb show between Stephenson and Worthin, und hundert is nicht mich. Du hast mir nicht einmal gesagt. Das ich dich lieb, mein eigener, Frau Worthin threatens to faint is supported by Stephenson. Hor mich nuren, ich lieb dich, ich lieb dich. Tears her hair, das ich in der Hall wär. Ich lieb dich, ich lieb dich. Ich bin so glücklich, dass ich nicht schlafen kann, nicht lesen kann, nicht reden kann, nicht. Und ich bin auch so glücklich, dass ich nicht speisen kann, nicht studieren, arbeiten, denken, schreiben. Stephenson to Worthin aside, there isn't any mistake about it, Gretchen's just a rattling teacher. Worthin to Stephenson aside, I'll skin her alive when I get my hands on her. Kommt alle verliebt, they jump up, join hands and sing in chorus. Stepping forward, well. The girls throw themselves upon his neck with enthusiasm. The girls, why father. My darlings. The young men hesitate a moment, then they add their embrace, flinging themselves on Stephenson's neck, along with the girls. The young men, why father. Struggling, come this is too thin, too quick I mean let go you rascals. We'll never let go till you put us on the family list. Right, hold to him. Cling to him, Will. Gretchen rushes in and joins the general embrace, but is snatched away by the Worthin, crushed up against the wall and threatened with destruction. Suffocating, all right, have it your own way you quartet of swindlers. He's a darling, 3 cheers for Papa. Everybody, except Stephenson who bows with hand on heart, hip 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 hurrah hurrah hurrah. Der Tiger ich. Worthin, say ruhig you hussy. Well, I've lost a couple of precious daughters, but I've gained a couple of precious scamps to fill up the gap with, so it's all right. I'm satisfied and everybody's forgiven, with Mark threats at Gretchen. Were worden für dich sorgen, du herrliches Gretchen. Denk skan. To Worthin, und für sie auch, Den wenn sei nicht so freundlich gewesen wären, krank zu werden, why wären were je so glücklich geworden why jetzt? Worthin, well dear, I was kind but I didn't mean it, but I ain't sorry, not one bit, that I ain't. Come now, the situation is full of hope, and grace and tender sentiment. If I had in the least the poetic gift, I know I could improvise under such an inspiration. Each girl nudges her sweetheart, something worthy too, is there no poet among us? Each youth turns solemnly his back upon the other, and raises his hands in benediction over his sweetheart's bowed head. Both youths at once. They turn and look reproachfully at each other. The girls contemplate them with injured surprise. Reflectively, I think I've heard that before somewhere. Worthin, aside, why the very cats in Germany know it. Price list of publications issued by Flower o' the Vine, Romantic Ballads and Sarsaparilla di Roma. This volume contains the poems in Mr. Sharp's latest books of verse, now entirely out of print. His collaboration with Blanche Willis Howard in the novel A Fellow and His Wife has made his name familiar to American readers. As one of the most popular of the younger English poets, we anticipate an equal success in America for Flower o' the Vine, for which Mr. Thomas A. Janvier has prepared an introduction. Handsomely bound, uniform with Aldrich's Sisters tragedy and Cora Fabry's lyrics, cloth $1, $50. Moonblight and 3 Feet of Romance. Octavo, 300 pages, fully illustrated. This story we believe will take rank with Looking Backward. It treats of some of the great social problems of the day in a novel, powerful, and intensely interesting manner. The hero becomes strangely endowed with the power of seeing people in their true light. It is needless to say that this power proves both a curse and a blessing, and leads to many and strange adventures. Mr. Beard's reputation as an artist is worldwide, and the numerous illustrations he provides for this book powerfully portray the spirit of the text. Cloth, ink and gold stamps $2. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Holiday Edition. Square 8 vo, 366 pages, illustrated by E.W. Kemble, sheep $3.25, cloth $2.75. New cheap edition of Huckleberry Finn, 12 mo, 318 pages with a few illustrations, cloth $1. The Prince and the Pauper, a square 8 vo volume of 411 pages, beautifully illustrated, sheep $3.75, cloth $3. A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, a square 8 vo of 575 pages, 221 illustrations by Dan Beard, half Morocco $50, sheep $4.00, cloth $3. Mark Twain Holiday Set, 3 volumes in a box consisting of the best editions of Huckleberry Finn, Prince and Pauper, and A Connecticut Yankee, square 8 vo, uniform in size, binding and color. Sold only in sets, cloth $6.00. 18 short stories and sketches by Mark Twain, including The Stolen White Elephant, Some Rambling Notes, The Carnival of Crime, A Curious Experience, Punch Brothers Punch, The Invalid's Story, etc. Etmo 306 pages. Cloth $1. Mark Twain's Library of Humor, a volume of 145 characteristic selections from the best writers, together with a short biographical sketch of each author quoted, compiled by Mark Twain, nearly 200 illustrations by E.W. Kemble, 8 vo 707 pages, full turkey Morocco $70, half Morocco $50, half seal $4.25, sheep $4.00, cloth $3, $50. Life on the Mississippi, 8 vo 624 pages and over 300 illustrations, sheep $4.25, cloth $3, $50. Innocents Abroad, or The New Pilgrim's Progress, sheep $4.00, cloth $3, $50. Roughing It, 600 pages, 300 illustrations, sheep $4.00, cloth $3, $50. Sketches Old and New, 320 pages, 122 illustrations, sheep $3.50, cloth $3. Adventures of Tom Sawyer, 150 engravings, 275 pages, sheep $3.25, cloth $2.75. The Gilded Age, 576 pages, 212 illustrations, sheep $4.00, cloth $3, $50. A Tramp Abroad, Mark Twain in Europe, a companion volume to Innocents Abroad, 631 pages, sheep $4.00, cloth $3.50. The Genesis of the Civil War. The Story of Sumter by Major General S. W. Crawford, A.M., M.D. LL.D. illustrated with steel and wood engravings and facsimiles of celebrated letters. 8vo uniform with Grant's memoirs. Full Morocco $80, half Morocco $5, $50, sheep $4.25, cloth $3.50. Personal memoirs of General Grant. Illustrations and maps et vols. 8vo, half Morocco per set $11, $0, sheep per set $6, 0, cloth per set $7. A few sets in full Turkey Morocco, and tree calf for sale at special low prices. Personal memoirs of General Sherman, with appendix by Hun, James G. Blaine, illustrated 2 vols, 8vo uniform with Grant's memoirs, half Morocco per set $8, $50, sheep per set $70, cloth per set $5, cheap edition in 1 large volume, cloth $2. Personal memoirs of General Sheridan, illustrated with steel portraits and woodcuts, 26 maps, 2 vols, 8vo uniform with Grant's memoirs, half Morocco per set $10, $0, sheep per set $80, cloth per set $6. A few sets in full Turkey Morocco and tree calf to be disposed of at very low figures. Cheap edition in 1 large volume, cloth binding $2. McClellan's own story, with illustrations from sketches drawn on the field of battle by A.R. Wadd, the great war artist. 8vo uniform with Grant's memoirs. Full Morocco $90, half Morocco $6, 0, sheep $4.75, cloth $3.75. Memoirs of John A. Dahlgren, Rear Admiral United States Navy, by his widow Madeline Vinton Dahlgren, a large octavo volume of 660 pages with steel portrait maps and illustrations, cloth $3. Reminiscences of Winfield Scott Hancock, by his wife, illustrated, steel portraits of General and Mrs. Hancock, 8vo uniform with Grant's memoirs. Full Morocco $50, half Morocco $4, 0, sheep $3.50, cloth $2.75. Tenting on the Plains, with the Life of General Custer by Mrs. E.B. Custer, illustrated, 8vo uniform with Grant's memoirs, full Morocco $70, half Morocco $5, $50, sheep $4.25, cloth $3, $50. Portrait of General Sherman, a magnificent line etching on copper, size 19 inches, by the celebrated artist Charles B. Hall, $2, special prices on quantities. The Great War Library, consisting of the best editions of the foregoing 7 publications, Grant, Sheridan, Sherman, Hancock, McClellan, Custer, and Crawford. 10 volumes in a box, uniform in style and binding, half Morocco $50, $0, sheep $40, $0, cloth $30. Life of Jane Welsh Carlyle, by Mrs. Alexander Ireland, with portrait and facsimile letter, 8vo 324 pages, vellum cloth gilt top $1, $75. Life and Letters of Roscoe Conkling, by Hun. Alfred R. Conkling, Ph.B. LL.D., steel portrait and facsimiles of important letters to Conkling from Grant Arthur Garfield Etvo over 700 pages, half Morocco $5, $50, full seal $50, sheep $4, 0, cloth $3. Life of Pope Leo Roman XIII, by Bernard O'Reilly D.D. L.D. Lavelle, written with the encouragement and blessing of His Holiness the Pope, 8vo 635 pages, coloured and steel plates and full-page illustrations. Half Morocco $6, 0, half Russia $50, cloth gilt edges $3.75. Distinguished American lawyers, with their struggles and triumphs in the forum, containing an elegantly engraved portrait, autograph and biography of each subject, embracing the professional work and the public career of those called to serve their country. By Henry W. Scott, introduction by Hun, John J. Ingalls, a large royal octavo volume of 716 pages with 62 portraits of the most eminent lawyers, sheep $4.25, cloth $3, $50. Concise Cyclopedia of Religious Knowledge, biblical, biographical, theological, historical and practical, edited by Rev. E. B. Sanford, M.A., assisted by over 30 of the most eminent religious scholars in the country. 1 vol. Riavo nearly 1,000 double-column pages, half Morocco $6.00, sheep $50, cloth $3, $50. The table, How to Buy Food, How to Cook It and How to Serve It by A. Filippini of Delmonico, the only cookbook ever endorsed by Delmonico, contains 3 menus for each day in the year and over 1,500 original recipes, the most of which have been guarded as secrets by the chefs of Delmonico. Contains the simplest as well as the most elaborate recipes. Presentation edition in full seal Russia, $4, $50. Kitchen edition in oilcloth, $2, $50. 100 Ways of Cooking Eggs. Mr. Filippini is probably the only man who can cook eggs in 100 different ways, and this little book will be worth its price 10 times over to any purchaser. Cloth binding, ink and gold stamps 50 cents. 100 Recipes for Cooking and Serving Fish. This book contains only the best recipes, all of which have been tested by Mr. Filippini during 25 years' experience with the Delmonicos. Cloth binding, ink and gold stamps 50 cents. Yale Lectures on Preaching and Other Writings by Rev. Nathaniel Burton D.D., edited by Richard E. Burton 8 vo 640 pages, steel portrait, cloth $3.75. Legends and Myths of Hawaii, by the late King Kalakaua, 2 steel portraits and other illustrations. 8 vo 530 pages, cloth $3. The Diversions of a Diplomat in Turkey, by the late Hun, S.S. Kovo 685 pages profusely illustrated, half Morocco $6.00, sheep $4.75, cloth $3.75. Inside the White House in War Times, by W. O. Stoddard, one of Lincoln's private secretaries. 12 mo 244 pages, cloth $1. Tinkletop's Crime and 18 Other Short Stories by George R. Sims 1 vol. 12 mo 316 pages, cloth $1.00, paper covers 50 cents. My Life with Stanley's Rearguard, by Herbert Ward, one of the captains of Stanley's Rearguard, includes Mr. Ward's reply to H. M. Stanley, 12 mo. Cloth $1.00, paper covers 50 cents. The Peril of Oliver Sargent, by Edgar Janes Bliss. 12 mo, cloth $1.00, paper covers 50 cents. The Old Devil and the Three Little Devils, or Ivan the Fool by Count Leo Tolstoy, translated direct from the Russian by Count Norikow, with illustrations by the celebrated Russian artist Gribyedov. 12 mo, cloth $1. Life is Worth Living and Other Stories, translated direct from the Russian by Count Norikow. This work, unlike some of his later writings, shows the great Russian at his best. The stories are pure, simple and powerful, intensely interesting as mere creations of fancy, but, like all Tolstoy's works, written for a purpose, and containing abundant food for earnest reflection. Cloth, ink and gold stamps $1. The Happy Isles and Other Poems by S. H. M. Byers. Smamo, cloth binding $1. Physical Beauty, How to Obtain and How to Preserve It by Annie Jenness Miller, including chapters on hygiene, foods, sleep, bodily expression, the skin, the eyes, the teeth, the hair, dress, the cultivation of individuality, etc., etc., an octavo volume of about 300 pages. Cloth $2. Hourglass Series, by Daniel B. Lucas LLD and J. Fairfax McLaughlin LL. D. The first volume, which is now ready, contains a series of historical epitomes of national interest, with interesting sketches of such men as Henry Clay, Daniel O'Connell and Fisher Ames. Large 12 mo. Cloth $1. Adventures of a Fair Rebel. Author of Zekiel, Bet Crow, S. Fiery Anne, Was It an Exceptional Case, etc., a story that is sure to be eagerly sought after and read by Miss Crimm's many admirers. Stamped cloth $10, paper covers 50 cents. In Beaver Cove and Elsewhere, octavo about 350 pages illustrated. A writer who has quickly won wide recognition by short stories of exceptional power. New York Independent. Her magazine articles bear the stamp of genius. St. Paul Globe. This volume contains all of Miss Crimm's most famous short stories. These stories have received the highest praise from eminent critics and prominent literary journals, and have given Miss Crimm a position among the leading lady writers of America. Cloth, handsomely stamped $1.00, paper covers 50 cents. The Flowing Bowl, What and When to Drink, by the only William Schmidt, giving full instructions how to prepare, mix and serve drinks, also receipts for 237 mixed drinks, 89 liquors and ratafias, 115 punches, 58 bowls and extra drinks, an 8vo of 300 pages. Fine cloth, gilt stamp $2.